Here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Senior here with you. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Hope you're all having a fantastic Tuesday, February 3rd. We are live from the Moscone Center in downtown San Francisco for our coverage of Super Bowl 60 here at Chat Sports. Going to be doing shows and providing you with fantastic coverage and content all week long right here from Radio Row. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button for daily and year-round coverage of the Birds, and I appreciate all of your support as always. All right, coming up here this morning on Philadelphia Eagles Now, we have some big news on Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. That's been a big topic of conversation around the NFL from San Francisco. We have a report from E.J. Smith of PHLY, also some digging that I've been able to do over the last couple of days in here from the site of Super Bowl 60. The Eagles also getting some really big news from the National Football League from a cap perspective, looking ahead to 2026 NFL free agency. What did former Eagles defensive tackle Milton Williams say about the difference between Eagles fans and Patriots fans? One of our clips went viral overnight on social media, and he had a really good answer for which fan base is better. Also, why did he end up signing with New England and not back with the Eagles after he had a really good 2024 campaign and an awesome performance in the Super Bowl against Kansas City? And the Giants hire an offensive coordinator who the Eagles interviewed, and many Eagles fans are very familiar with him. Let's begin here. What's been going on with Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio? A big topic of conversation that's been hovering over this organization. He approached the Eagles a couple of weeks ago, said that he was stepping away from coaching. So the Eagles got a really big scare there. And then, of course, DB's coach Christian Parker, who Vic Fangio loves, left the Eagles for the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator job to take over for Matt Eberflus. And I was talking about this on the show. A lot of Eagles fans were discussing this as well. Why would the Eagles let Christian Parker go after he developed Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean into being first-team All-Pros? He helped develop Patrick Surtain into being the player who he is today. He was the Defensive Player of the Year in 2024. When Jair Alexander was an All-Pro, he credits a lot of his success in Green Bay to Christian Parker, and he was looked at as maybe the defensive coordinator in waiting for Philadelphia. And Vic Fangio liked him in Denver. Sean Payton kept CP around, and then Sean Payton let Christian Parker go to the Eagles, and he's been an ascending star. When I was at the Super Bowl last year in New Orleans, and I asked Eagles players, who's next up on this coaching staff? Who's going to be that guy who could rise up and be a coordinator, who could be a head coach? And every player who I talked to mentioned Christian Parker. But from Christian Parker's standpoint, if he had an opportunity to be the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys and he knew that the Eagles would have to go through an interview process, he can't pass up on an opportunity like that for an unknown with the Eagles. And so there's that component to this conversation. After Fangio had approached the Eagles and said, look, I'm closing in on 70 years old, 2 years that I've been in Philadelphia, growing up an Eagles fan, Dunmore, Pennsylvania. The defense has been a top 5, top 10 unit. The Eagles brass, probably Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, and others, convince him to come back for 2026. But as Jimmy Kempski of Philly Voice had reported the other day, the Eagles were still worried that Vic Fangio's status for next year was kind of hanging in the balance, right? And so the Eagles did their due diligence. They reached out to former Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon. Yesterday, he was officially named the DC for the Green Bay Packers. They reached out to Jim Schwartz, another former Eagles defensive coordinator who helped turn around the Eagles defense to the point where they were dominant in 2017, and they won a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson as the head coach and Jim Schwartz as the defensive play caller. He got passed up on for the Cleveland Browns head coaching job by Todd Monken, but he's still under contract. He could go back to Cleveland to be the DC, but he was very fired up and annoyed, rightfully so, that he didn't get that Browns head coaching job. So the Eagles did reach out to Gannon and Schwartz, according to Jimmy Kempski, gauging their interest in coming back to Philadelphia to be the defensive coordinator under Nick Sirianni. And then another component to this is that the Eagles, after convincing Fangio to come back, did feel good about him returning. But there was still a possibility that he could step away from coaching. E.J. Smith, the PHLY, with this report yesterday. Quote, while Vic Fangio did seriously entertain retiring as recently as last week, my understanding is that is no longer the case and that the Eagles are confident in his return at this point after much persuasion. Now, last week I reached out to some people about Fangio's status for 2026, and some people said he's probably coming back, but there's a possibility that, yes, he could retire. Talking to some people here from San Francisco, Super Bowl Radio Row, a lot of people are confident that Vic Fangio will be coordinating the defense for this Eagles team in 2026. And once again, the Eagles have Super Bowl aspirations. And hopefully this time next year, we'll be doing shows from Radio Row when the Eagles are playing for their third Super Bowl in franchise history. And we'll be able to catch up with Vic Fangio while he's still the DC for the Eagles. That's topic number one. Topic number two, great news for the Eagles from a salary cap standpoint. So on Friday, the NFL informed teams it is projecting a major 2026 salary cap increase. And the 2026 cap is expected to be between, as I predicted, $301.2 million and $305.7 million. I've been saying over the last few weeks, looking ahead to the offseason, that the salary cap, because the NFL's business model is absolutely booming, was going to be north of $300 million. So the projected increase between 301 plus, 305 plus. And how much the salary cap has increased for the NFL, just going back to 2013, is absolutely insane. And it goes to show you the popularity of this league. It is America's sport. The ratings are crazy. Obviously, sports betting, daily fantasy, it's played a role in the NFL gaining popularity, but I think the quality of play, the star power, the storylines, the drama, and the fact that the NFL has become a year-round sport has all contributed to the NFL now having a salary cap of more than $300 million for all 32 teams across the NFL for 2026. Just in 2013, the salary cap for all teams was $123 million. And from that point, it went up sizably year over year. It did go down from 2020, $198.2 million, to 2021 to $182.5, but that was during that COVID offseason following the 2020 campaign where fans couldn't really attend games, and that impacted the cash flow for the National Football League. So after the NFL kind of absorbed that hit from COVID, from 21 to 22, it went up from 182.5 to 208.2. So just think about how much the salary cap has gone up since 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a long time. From 208.2 to 301.2 to 305.7 from 2022 to 2026. Crazy. What does this mean for the Eagles? The 2026 projected cap space for the Eagles was $20.5 million, about in the middle zone among 32 teams in the NFL. Now you can add somewhere in the neighborhood to $20 million to that. So now the Eagles are going to have about $40+ million in cap space. That's, of course, huge for Howie Roseman, who always crushes it annually in NFL free agency. But this can lead to the Eagles making one big move in free agency or multiple big moves in free agency. And I'm just spitballing here. This can lead to Philadelphia being able to retain a player like Jalen Phillips, who's going to be one of the more sought-after pass rushers in the National Football League this upcoming offseason when free agency gets underway in March. What did Milton Williams say about the difference between Eagles fans and Patriots fans? This is a clip from our team here at Chat Sports that went viral overnight. Here's what the former Eagles defensive tackle said, who is trying to pull off the reverse Chris Long. Chris Long won a Super Bowl with the Patriots in 2016, won a Super Bowl with the Eagles in 2017. Now Milton Williams, after just dominating against that Chiefs offensive line last year and harassing Patrick Mahomes, is trying to win a Super Bowl with the Eagles in 2024 and the Patriots in 2025. Here's what Milton said about the difference between Eagles fans and Patriots fans and which fan base is more passionate.
I would probably say New England is probably more passionate, but Philly fans, like, they don't care about that. Like, they gonna do whatever. They gonna. It's like it's even, but like I feel like the Patriots fans, they don't want to get in trouble. Philly fans, they don't care about that. They don't care if they go to jail and do whatever.
And then, of course, for Milton Williams, he got about $27 million per year annually from the Patriots in free agency. We knew going into the last offseason after the Eagles won that Super Bowl, they were never going to be able to afford that type of contract for Milton. He bet on himself in 2024. The Eagles tried to sign him during the season, but in betting on himself, he proved to be one of the top defensive tackles in the National Football League. A lot of teams are putting an emphasis on bringing in and finding pass rushing defensive tackles from the interior who can get after the quarterback. Milton Williams is that. And he said last night, leading into free agency, he didn't really hear from the Eagles. He didn't get an offer. That's expected because they were never going to pay that price tag. Here's what Milton Williams had to say on that front.
New England showed me they wanted me more. They believed in me more. They believed in, who I am and what I bring to the table. So they showed that, talking to Coach Vrabel, his plan for me, and this organization, winning, knowing that what winning looked like, been there, done that multiple times. I wanted to be a part of that.
And then lastly, as we know, the Eagles offensive coordinator search was an exhaustive one. And they reached out to a bevy of candidates. They cast a wide net. They finally settled on Sean Mannion, the Packers quarterbacks coach from last year and offensive assistant the year prior. He is coached under and played under some of the best offensive minds in football. A lot of people here from San Francisco are applauding that hire by Philadelphia, and I'm excited about it. I'll try to talk to some people and get some clips gathered here for the show from some people who cover the NFL who can provide some insight on the Sean Mannion hiring on top of what we've already talked about here on the show. A candidate who the Eagles did interview was Matt Nagy, former Chiefs offensive coordinator. He actually was an intern for the Eagles under Andy Reid. He tried out for the Eagles as a quarterback way back in the day. He played his college football at Delaware. He's from the Lancaster area, so he's got some Pennsylvania ties. He did not get the Eagles OC job. He did officially this morning land the Giants offensive coordinator job. Look, as a head coach with Chicago, I give him credit. He went 34-31 with the likes of Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields and Nick Foles. I think from a play calling standpoint, at times, he was definitely a little bit spotty and he struggled from time to time. I'm interested to see how this hiring works out for John Harbaugh, because this is a big hiring to pair him up with Jackson Dart to try to get that Giants offense back on track and to try to get that Giants team playing a lot better under this new regime. All right, I'll be back a little bit later right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now with more Eagles coverage. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give me a follow on social media, X, Instagram, TikTok, at Chase_Senior. We're reaching millions of people a month right here on Eagles Now on YouTube, and my social media accounts are humming as well, reaching millions of people every single month on that end as well. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. This is Eagles Now. My name is Chase Senior. Catch you soon. Peace.